So hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Pretty much this will be a bit of a new section. I will consider adding my face in the future. Just right now I wanted to pretty much go with it this way. So I'm just actually going to zoom out a little, because a little more anyway. But yeah, pretty much this is going to be a bit of a new section that I'm going to be adding onto my channel to do with like book reviews and like reading books and book haul kind of things for reading books. So pretty much I wanted to do this book review. First of all, I really want to thank HarperCollins Australia for giving me the opportunity to do this. I really appreciate it more than anything, and I am loving it. And I'm loving the fact that you gave me the chance to do the book reviews on top of my colouring reviews. So I'm really happy about that. So yeah, today is going to be a bit of a book haul slash book review of the book that I have finished recently, which is The Darkest Legacy. So I'm just going to sit these here, adjust that. I'm burning a candle at the moment at the same time. And yeah, so I'm just going to go through and do a bit of a haul first, and then we're going to go into doing a bit of a discussion, and I'll try to do no spoilers to do with the book. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm loving having this opportunity and this chance, and I'm so excited for this first review. So yeah, the most recent book that I finished is The Darkest Legacy by Alexandra Bracken. These are all very much thank you to HarperCollins Australia. As I said, I really appreciate it more than anything. And yeah, so first one we've done, and this is the one that I'll be doing the review on, is The Darkest Legacy by Alexandra Bracken. This is actually the fourth book in, as you'll see here, book 4 in the New York Times best-selling series. 5 years after the destruction of the so-called rehabilitation camps that imprisoned her and countless other side kids, 17-year-old Zuzami, I probably butchered that, Zu Kimura, has assumed the role of the spokesperson for interterm government, fighting for rights of side kids against the growing tide of misinformation and prejudice. But when she is accused of committing a horrifying act, she is forced to go on the run once more in order to stay alive. Determined to clear her name, Zu finds herself in an uncomfortable alliance with Roman and Priyanka. I probably butchered that, sorry. Two mysterious Sai who could either help her prove her innocence or betray her before she gets a chance. But as they travel in search of safety and answers, and Zu grows closer to the people she knows she shouldn't trust, they uncover even darker things stirring beneath the veneer of the country's recovery. With her future and the future of all Sai on the line, Zu must use her powerful voice to fight back against the forces that seek to drive Sai into the shadows and save the friends who were once her protectors. So this is actually book 4 in the Darkest Minds series, and is a standalone novel. And yeah, I'll come more into that once we've gone over the rest of my book haul, which you saw a bit of a thing of the names there. So I'm going to come back to that one, and I've actually got the Darkest Minds books here. I didn't actually get the chance to finish all the Darkest Minds books. I'm still reading them, but we'll get there. I'm loving the opportunity, and yeah, I really, really love this book, and the cover is gorgeous. So I wish I could have seen the movie of this. I'm not sure, it might still be on at the cinemas, but I'm hoping even if I don't see it at the cinemas, I'll be able to watch it on YouTube or something, because I really love this book so far. Well, I finished it, but yeah. Next book was Carve the Mark by Veronica Roth. I actually received this one because of the fact Veronica Roth is doing her first tour of Australia in Brisbane, I think it was, later this year. I can't remember when, whether it was September or when. but I received this to review. I'm yet to get onto this, but I'm really excited for this one. I've heard about it and I really love the sound of it, and the cover is gorgeous, and it's one of those sort of soft covers. So this one's basically to do with Sarah and Akos grew up in enemy countries on a vibrant yet divided planet. Sarah's ability to transfer extraordinary pain with a simple touch makes her a dangerous weapon for her tyrannical brother. When Akos is kidnapped and forced to serve Sarah, it's clear that their hatred is mutual. But as Akos fights for his survival, he recognises that Sarah is also fighting for hers, and that her true gift, resilience, might be what saves them both. Their world is on the brink of political chaos, and Akos and Sarah must decide if they will fight for what's right, even if it means betraying their families and countries. When the time comes, will they choose loyalty or love? And I really like the sound of that, and I saw it the other day. The second book of this has just been released and is in the shop, so I really hope that I can read that one after this, because the duology, it sounds amazing. Yeah. So that's Carve the Mark. Veronica Roth is the best-selling author of the Divergent series. I have those books, but I'm yet to read them, so I'm excited for that. Too many books to read, too little time. Next one, this is actually an uncorrected reading copy. I don't know if the cover's going to be correct. I am got to ask about whether I'm actually allowed to do a review using this book or not, because it says that pretty much that you aren't allowed to use this copy of the book for a review, so I'm not sure. But yeah, it's called A Curse of Ash and Embers, A Dead Witch, A Bitter Curse, A Battle of Magic. The Tales of the Blackbone Witches, Book 1. And oh my gosh, I am about 3/4 through this, and I am loving it. It's by Jo Spurrier, an Adelaide author. This one isn't due out till October 2018, so I'm not going to say anything on it. I'm not even going to read the chapter at the back, because I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say about it yet, what I'm not allowed to say. But basically, I love this book. If this cover stays the same on release, I really love it, and it's an amazing story. That's all I will say, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it. It's exactly up my alley, exactly what I love to read, and oh yes, yes, that's all I'll say. Next one is, I hope you can see this properly. Yep, you can. The Rules of Seeing by Joe Heap. And it's says, what you see depends on what you're looking for. And it's, I'll read this back, but basically it's based around a lady who can't see, and then she decides to have surgery so that she can see again, and it basically changes her world and how she thinks about it and what happens and that sort of thing. So it's it says Julian Safonova is 32 years old and she is about to see the world for the very first time. Julian Nova, to her friends, can do many things. She can speak 5 languages, she can always find a silver lining, and she can even tell when someone is lying just from the sound of their voice. But there's one thing Nova can't do. She can't see. When her brother convinces her to have an operation that will restore her sight, Nova wakes up to a world she no longer understands, until she meets Kate. As Kate comes into focus, her past threatens to throw them into a different kind of darkness. Can they each learn to see the world in a different way and open their eyes to the lives they could have been living all along? So, I'm assuming this one is a contemporary novel. I'm yet to read it, but I'm looking forward to it. The cover is really interesting and pretty. It's got all these little, it's like nearly invisible, but little invisible patterns and like a bush, a rabbit topiary, and it's just, I'm really looking forward to reading it, and I'm just looking forward to it basically. So that's another book that I've gotten. And the last one is Sunday Times bestseller Barbara Erskine, The Ghost Tree. So I'm loving the cover on this. This is my colours completely, and it's even got purple foil. So yeah, but I'm not sure if this one is released yet either. But I'm going to get onto a review when I'm just working my way through the books. So I finished one, 3/4 of the way through another. So yeah, it's great. But this one says, before you follow the path into your family's history, beware of the secrets you may find. So I'm assuming this is sort of like to do with a bit of historical and history kind of thing. And it says at the bottom, the inspiration for The Ghost Tree lies in Barbara Erskine's own personal history, branching back to the days of Thomas Erskine, her great-grandfather 5 times removed. Once again, Sunday Times best-selling author brings the past to life in vivid, spellbinding colour. So it says, Ruth has returned to Edinburgh after many years of exile. Left rootless by the death of her estranged father, she is faced with the daunting task of sorting through his possessions. Amidst the dust of her old life, Ruth discovers a hidden diary from the 18th century, written by her ancestor Thomas Erskine. As she sifts through the ancient pages of the past, Ruth is pulled into a story she can't escape. As the youngest son of a noble family, Thomas's life starts in genteel poverty, but his extraordinary experiences propel him from the high seas to Lord Chancellor. Yet on his journey through life, he makes a powerful enemy who hounds him to death and beyond. Ruth opens a door to the past that she can't close, and she meets the ghost in her family tree who wasn't invited. She'll have to draw upon new friends and old in what will become a battle for her very survival. So it sounds like a bit of a historical thriller, which I'm really looking forward to. And as you can tell, it's a bit of a large book, but I like the challenge of large books, so yeah. So that's kind of my haul for thanks to HarperCollins. I am so excited to get onto those. And now we're going to get on to a bit of our review. So we'll just move those out of the way. And so yeah, The Darkest Legacy is actually the 4th book in the Darkest Minds trilogy. So I have the hard copy versions here. So the first book in the series is The Darkest Minds. Second book is Never Fade, and third book is In the Afterlight. And whoops, I just pulled my marker out of the Never Fade one. I guess I'll just have to start it over again because I'm not sure what happened anyway in that. But this is basically about, from what I know, a girl named Ruby who is an orange. So basically there's different levels of psi. So orange is considered the most deadly because they can influence people's minds and how they think, how they act. Then there's red, which from what I know is basically able to produce fire and do things with fire. I don't have that much knowledge about reds because there isn't a specific red in this story. Then there's yellow, which is able to use electricity and use electricity currents to create, I guess, things like blowing up electrical systems or using electrical systems to shock people back to life, that kind of thing. Then there's also blue, which is telekinetic basically. They're able to move things with their mind, and so they can move trees, they can move desks, they can move chairs, they can move people. Then there's green, which is basically the least dangerous, and they're basically like computer geniuses, tech geniuses. They're able to create code, they're able to create programs, they're able to solve difficult puzzles, everything like that. And so these different people are basically able to have different talents, and they're considered different levels of dangerous. So basically in the Darkest Minds, Ruby is actually an orange, but she's able to disguise herself as a green, and pretty much there's a group called the Children's League, which basically breaks Ruby out of prison, and then it is discovered that she is most likely an orange. So basically Ruby goes on the run, and when she's on the run she meets Zoo, Liam and Chubbs, and basically Chubbs is blue, Liam is blue, Zoo is yellow, and they've broken out of the New Caledonia camp, whereas Ruby has broken out of Thurmond, which is like a larger camp. But I don't want to go into too many spoilers. I'm just trying to give a bit of a backstory. And pretty much they go on the run, basically, because I haven't read the second and third books fully, basically they find a group where there's another orange, and things go basically to crap from that, and then they basically end up at the end settling on basically an agreement with the new government, and trying to work with that new government to make things better for Psy kids. And that is where the fourth book, The Darkest Legacy, comes in, which is basically like a solo novel. So this one is actually based around Zoo instead of Ruby, and it's actually really interesting to read things from her perspective, and I'm going to try to do this without spoilers. Pretty much Zoo is a yellow Psy, so she's able to control electricity and use electricity for her own benefits, and yeah, she can short things out and that. Pretty much they're going through a tough time trying to get through new laws on the side. They're fighting people who don't want those laws there, and she's basically a person that talks for the government, trying to get people to accept the Psy and realise that they can live together, pretty much. And basically, I don't want to go into spoilers, but basically things happen and Zoo ends up as a fugitive on the run, and she has to go through all these different trials and tribulations to basically try and clear her name. And in the end, she realises that basically things aren't going to improve unless the Psy make it happen themselves and have their own safe homes and houses and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that's leaving an opening for another solo novel, possibly, or another novel linked to this one. But yeah, pretty much in the end, with the help of her new friends and her old friends, basically, I don't really want to spoil it, but basically Ruby has gone missing, and they hunt down and find Ruby. They go through periods where some of them are captured again themselves, and ways of basically going through ways of getting rid of it and becoming part of an organisation that people can't find evidence of that exists, but basically in the end they create that organisation themselves. So this is my first time, so I'm still trying to work out properly how to do this, but pretty much in the end they realise that they have to, if they want things to change, they have to put those changes in place themselves and make them happen and make them work. But yeah, this is an amazing book, and I really loved reading it, and it was so good to read it. And what was really good was the fact that reading this book, it didn't spoil the storyline that was happening in The Darkest Minds Never Fade and In the Afterlight. It was completely different. So I can actually go back to The Darkest Minds, Never Fade, In the Afterlight, and I can continue reading those without having been spoiled, I guess, for the storyline in those, because this storyline is completely separate. It does leave an opening for another book, possibly on Zoo's story and the ending of that story. I'm not sure if it will happen, but at the same time, it does work as a solo novel, like they said, and it's just, yeah, I love it. I don't know how much more to say because I really don't want to spoil things. So yeah, I really hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope this helps if you decide to get it. Thank you again to HarperCollins for giving me this opportunity, and I am so happy to have it. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I will see you next time. Bye.